Welcome back to Faster Performance then. My name is Tim Davies and my throat really hurts. I'm on the back end of a cold. I never get ill. That's a whole new YouTube video, isn't it, really, to talk about that. Look, I was on GB News last night and my mum phoned me up this morning and she said, your sister says you were on GB News last night. Squealed me right up, didn't she? Anyway, my mum said, who was interviewing you? I said, a guy called Patrick Christie. My mum said, you've got to be careful of that young man. Okay, he can be a little bit divisive, a little bit opinionated. She also said, I haven't really liked GB News ever since Lawrence Fox, Calvin Robinson and Dan Wootton left. So my mum does watch GB News. I honestly don't. Guys, in the comments, tell me what you think. All I was trying to say was, if you're an Honorary Group Captain in the Royal Air Force and the Ambassador for the Air Cadets, as Carol Vorderman is, maybe your celebrity and your status in your chosen role within that military sphere are not as aligned as you think they should be. We'll have a look at Twitter in a minute. We'll get this on. I'll just disappear for a second. I'll catch you guys in a minute. We'll have a break at halfway through, fam.
She moonlights as an honorary group captain in the RAF, but Carol Vorderman's chief occupation as a Tory attacker has landed her in hot water with top army bosses. Now, The Sun is reporting that they considered disciplining Voldemort, for her shocking political rants. The top brass were said to be alarmed by her habit of spouting disgusting hate. Now, in case you're wondering what kind of disgusting hate it is, I mean, she's mocked former army officer and Tory MP Johnny Mercer and his wife for not having university degrees. I mean, who cares? Seriously, who cares? That prompted her RAF boss, Air Cadet Commandant Tony Keeling, to signal his hope that Vorderman's tenure would soon expire, adding, hanging her out to dry wouldn't look good, but by the same token, we can't support what she is saying, and we need to remain politically neutral. She was going on calling Tories horrible names, everything under the sun, you name it, she said it. So tonight, I am asking, is Carol Vorderman an embarrassment to the UK's military services? I'm joined now by former RAF Fighter Pilot Instructor. It's Tim Davies. Tim, thank you very much. Great to have you on the show. Right, okay, so look, is Carol Vorderman an embarrassment to our armed forces?
Well, we all have Carol. You know, arguably Carol is a national treasure, isn't she, really? But I think just recently what we're seeing, and I'll be a little bit kind of straight with this, we're seeing people become very partisan in their views. And I think that's what's happening right now on Twitter with the spat with Felicity Cornelius Mercer, of course, Johnny Mercer's wife. She's ranting at Carol, Carol's ranting back, and before you know it, we've got two schoolgirls in a playground having a big argument and all the rest of us are in the middle of it. So it's a difficult one, Patrick, to be fair.
What does Carol Vorderman bring to our armed forces? What's the point?
Well, she's an honorary group captain. So there are, I think in the Royal Air Force, about 29. There's quite a significant amount, whereas in the Navy and the Army, there's only about 3 or 4. So what happens with honorary group captains is they're there to bring some element of something that the service probably doesn't have. And Carol has celebrity, of course, and obviously she's a math genius. We all know that. And I think if we go back a couple of years, it was all working quite well. But just recently, I think her anti-government rhetoric, shall we say, has been hitting the headlines more than, say, the skill set that she would otherwise bring to the military.
Yeah, I mean, there are some examples of her using vile turns of phrase about Conservatives in general, and I just don't really think that's on. I mean, the RAF is there to serve king and country, previously queen and country, no matter who's calling on you to do what. And once you do delve full frontal into the world of the overtly political, I think you lose the ability to just be that kind of ambassador, don't you?
Well, yeah, I mean, you've got Chris Hoy, of course, and you've got Bruce Dickinson. You've got some other people there, of course, that you don't hear much about. I mean, they are pretty much impartial. That's the thing, isn't it? And that's what you'd like. But, of course, you're mixing a lot of celebrity, aren't you, with Carol? And, of course, I mean, the really strange thing here is Carol's a woman in her 60s, Felicity's a woman in her 40s, and there's a lot they could probably both learn from each other, and they could probably get on very well. I think, unfortunately, the other thing we've got to take into account here, Patrick, is that Carol does represent the Air Cadets, and I think this is something that we need to really talk more about what's happening in the Air Cadets under Air Commodore Tony Keeling, and the way that he's brought D&I into the Air Cadets. And I don't think we're really looking at that. The whole organisation, she does represent it. She is a role model to young women, and sometimes I think the way that maybe, and I don't want to be that guy, I'm going to say it, the way that she maybe dresses in front of, say, the Top Gun premiere would arguably not be conducive to, say, a young woman looking at how to present herself in a professional military capacity. Can
you be a bit more specific than that?
Yeah, so, of course, you've got this thing, haven't you, where, you know, Carol a great figure at her age, especially, and we all love that. Don't get me wrong. I mean, we love what she's doing for everything that she's gone through, and this is why I say national treasure. But when you have the flight suit that's unzipped here, and of course, you know, we've got the sunglasses lowered, and it's quite a classic picture. We've all seen it. I just worry sometimes that young women think that maybe to get ahead in the military, which is purely a meritocratic organization, you know, a hierarchy basically. The better you are, the higher you'll go. It's just is how it is. Unfortunately, sometimes I think that kind of look, which might be the showbiz look, shall we call it, can maybe sort of get into the mindset of young women and maybe make them think that they've got to sort of dress in a similar sort of way. Well, and that's not the case in the military.
Interesting. Hey, look, it's an interesting take, Tim. I appreciate you coming on. Tim Davies there is a former RAF Fighter Pilot Instructor. Is Vorders an embarrassment to the UK's military services? To debate this, I am joined by the founder of Pimlico Plumbers, Charlie Mullins, and podcaster and commentator, Lewis Oakley.
And I'm sure this is going to be a fascinating debate. We're not going to listen to all of it, though, because I really can't bother, and the sun is about to come streaming into my eyes, and I do need to take another lem sip. So before that, we will take a break.
You! Have you ever heard of a mountain chicken? Please don't hurt me. Have you ever heard of a mountain chicken? No. What do you think it looks like? Like a really big chicken? That's what I thought, but no! It's this motherfucker!
Right, so these two cats then, I don't know who Lewis is. I know who Charlie is, of course, a legend. He used to run Pimlico Plumbers, of course, didn't he? So Charlie says something quite interesting here. We're just going to speed up. Listen to what Charlie says, because I think he kind of backs up my claim. What I was trying to say is, there's a picture, isn't there? And this is the picture that I was talking about, really, where she's at the Top Gun Premier. And of course, she does represent the Air Cadets. So maybe, as I said, I'm getting old now. But, you know, we've got the chest out, haven't we? And that's what I'm trying to talk about. It's a bit of a clash between celebrity and the Honorary Group Captain. I don't want to be that guy that says, don't do it. I'm just saying, do we accept this sort of thing when those young women thinking about how they have to get ahead in the world? And maybe this is what they think. They have to expose themselves in a more of a sexualized manner. Either way, I'm not entering into this debate because I did do it on Twitter. The Sun obviously does go into it here, which if you want to read The Sun, by all means, crack on. But I think actually Charlie Mullins makes the same point as me.
For his other stuff that he's doing, you're able to separate the two things.
Well,
you can be a war hero.
Well, look, she can't accept to be an ambassador for the RAF and then start knocking people.
Look, what about just finally on this one, our chap Tim, who was on earlier on, I know there was quite a controversial point that he made there about potentially the way that Carol at times maybe dresses herself while she's on these ambassadorial roles. Lewis, your thoughts on that? I know some people might have thought, that was a bit unfair. Some people might think that's fair enough.
I think she can dress however she wants. She looks great there. Why not? She's happy. She's having a good time. Good for her.
Well, does it represent the RAF good like that with her tits hanging out there?
Okay,
I didn't see any of that in those pictures that we're showing.
We can't obviously say things like that.
Right. Well, okay, we can't, but we know we're all thinking it. All I'm saying is what Charlie's thinking, of course, and Charlie's actually saying. And we'll just leave it here a little bit. So it was a bit of a Twitter spat, really. That started off here with Johnny Mercer's wife at the top there. And fair enough, they're arguing with each other. I said down here, I said something here, didn't I? I said, I did mention this a while back in one of my videos, the attire at the Top Gun Premier, whilst an honorary captain, was hardly appropriate and as an ambassador for Air Cadets, in my honest opinion. But I'm probably getting old now. I really am. And I felt that it sent the wrong message to young women. Young women says, what's wrong? What wrong message does it send? And I said that women need to dress provocatively in workwear in order to get ahead in a meritocratic organisation as the Royal Air Force. If you've ever seen a woman in flight kit, there's nothing attractive about it. Of course there isn't. So ability is what people care about, not the looks. Young lady jumped straight in, of course, with both feet. We can and we will wear what we want when we want. And all I say to that young lady, right, all I say to her, hands up, is if that statement is true, then go and put on a bikini and walk through a nightclub at 3 in the morning. You'll soon realise that, your actions do have a certain element of consequence attached to them. I'm not saying it's right, the kind of attention that you'll be exposed to, but I am saying that it is there and it is factual. So, I actually said here, not if you're a flying instructor, you'll wear what I tell you to wear. That's the truth. She didn't like me after that. But that is the truth, guys. Look, I've got a cold. All right, I'm going to go now. But in the comments, please tell me what you think. GB News can be a little bit difficult, can't it? And one of the things there, I didn't really get a chance to respond to Patrick. And of course, my mum did tell me off. She said, next time you go on GB News, make sure you give me a call first. And I'll tell you about the presenters. So I will do that, Mum. And I am sorry. And I also am your number one son when we think about, you know what I mean? All I'm saying is inheritance and stuff. Love you lots, Mum. Love you lots, FJP crowd. All right? Hit the comments there. Tell me I'm being an idiot. And say get well soon as well, because I'm feeling a bit shabby, but I do appreciate it. Tim Davies, Starship Performance.